thank you guys for joining us for another episode of What Are We Doing? Our normal weekly podcast. And I know we're off schedule a little bit. Normally we do this live every Tuesday at 10 o'clock. We're bringing it to you today on Wednesday as we had an interview conflict, a schedule with an interview guest that came on. And so we did that interview yesterday with that guest, and we'll be releasing that soon. The name of that guest, just in case you guys are curious, his name is John K. Graham, Dr. John K. Graham. He's a very well-renowned reconstructive plastic surgeon.
Right.
He had some amazing stories for us and some amazing experiences, an amazing life transformation and journey. We'll be sharing that story with you guys soon. So stay tuned. You don't want to miss that episode on the Normal Pursuit of Purpose podcast.
Right. You will really enjoy this gentleman. Now he has journaled all that into a book.
Yeah.
And so, please check out that episode. And I think you'll glean a lot from just hearing him tell his not only the highlights of his story, but even how he became.
Yes.
It's pretty cool. So thank you. And thank you for joining in today.
So today we put an announcement out this morning, and we're going to talk about, anything that you guys bring up, of course, we will happily discuss. And thank you guys on TikTok. Thank you guys on Twitter, Twitch, Kick, Instagram, YouTube. We're infiltrating everywhere, all the social medias that we can get into. And thank you guys for joining us. Facebook, various places. We appreciate our audience, and we look forward to your contributions today. Last week, we were very proud to have the participation that we had. Yes. We were talking about immigration. Any of you want to follow up on that topic, we'll be happy to do it. But today, our designated topic of discussion is crucial conversations, effective communication.
Yes.
And how do we do that? How do we have discussions about charged topics without sacrificing relationships?
Mm-hmm.
You know, even in a marriage relationship,
right.
A lot of times, I'm a husband. Mm-hmm. A lot of times I will have something that I really want to talk about with my wife or need to talk about with my wife. And it gets avoided for the fear of friction.
Yeah.
And that's a terrible thing, because a lot of these conversations, they need to be had.
Yes.
In order for there to be growth, in order for there to be progress, in order for there to be any steps in the right direction. So one of the biggest topics, and it's stuff that we talk about daily, but one of the biggest topics that, for instance, is avoided at family gatherings. We don't talk about politics, right?
Right.
Politics and religion. Those two things people avoid like the plague at family gatherings. Well, why is that?
That's a good question.
So, for us, we typically avoid them because everybody's different.
Right.
And we don't want to be uncomfortable. We don't want to make other people uncomfortable. We don't want to get in an argument. We don't want to sacrifice relationships over differences.
Right. And there's those two components of indictment and defensive and defending. And we don't want to be put in a situation where we have to explain or defend our position and what have you. And when we do go into those areas of either, let's say, defensiveness and defending a position, now it's almost like it seems fruitless. Like I'm taking on this pressure that I have to convince you. Like, can't you see it the way that I see it? And if you just would see it the way that I see it, wouldn't we all get along better? But what if we learned, you talk about more effective communication, what if we learned to embrace the difference? And that's a little bit more of a slow motion action. But so we bring up, and we can go back to marriage, we bring up what would be a difficult topic. And I watch the other person struggle with the topic. Well, let's say I'm the one that's bringing it up. Okay. Well, my advantage is I've been thinking about it for a while. I just didn't think about it in the moment. I've been thinking about this for maybe weeks. So my thoughts are prepared. Now I'm going to present it.
Yeah.
And they're going to obviously be less prepared. If I can respect that, I can give them moments. I can give them moments of time, which could be half a day. You know what? Think about it. Just think about what I'm sharing with you and get back with me. We don't have to end this portion of our conversation with some united front. Yeah, no, it may take a bit. But to me, that's communication. We teach a lot of communication. That's what we do as coaches and counselors here at Pursuit of Purpose. And we have to remind people that it's not going to be solved in the moment. And maybe that's part of better effectiveness.
Well, one of the things that I've learned, and something that I work to clients to espouse or to learn, is the practice of curiosity. One of the things we get caught up in, and I'd love to know any of our audience what your experience is in this regard, but we get caught up in this judgmental thinking. And the judgmental thinking tells us that I have to be right and you have to be wrong. I have to say my position is the way.
Yes.
But what if instead I could look at your position and say, wow, that's fascinating. That doesn't mean I agree with it.
No.
It says that I see value in you enough that I can see how your position is yours, and I don't have to agree or disagree.
That's right.
I can accept you.
Yes.
I can accept the way you think.
And maybe part of the curiosity is not just understanding their position. That's part of it. Maybe the other part of the curiosity is, how did you come to that conclusion?
Yeah.
What are the factors that led to that? Because that still is part of the conversation, is understanding the backstory. By the time I get to it, expressing a position or an opinion, man, there's a story behind that. And as much as I want to be able to tell that story, because when I was a kid, this happened or what have you, well, I want to hear your story too.
Yeah.
And then I found this interesting, and I know you do also, Rob. When people are validating their position by telling their story, they're also hearing the story out loud too. And they're judging themselves. They're like, it's almost like they want to stop. This happens often. It's almost like they want to stop and go, wow, probably have taken that way too personal, that my parent did this or my teacher did that. And it's like, well, and sometimes they'll confess. They go, man, they'll pause and they'll say, I probably need to rethink this. And I go, yeah, sure. Yeah, no, we're not going anywhere. Take your time.
So we've got a viewer on TikTok that's kind of being silly. Party Saurus 12 said, what kind of party is this? And well, it's a communication party. And they said they have 2 cats and they've never felt more judged. Well, I'm gonna guess, Party Saurus, that you're judging yourself. We got no judgment for you.
I have an explanation, Party Saurus. I'm going to tell you why that is. Because dogs have masters, but cats have a staff. You are staff. You know that, right? That's why you have that kind of communication with your cats.
So Party Saurus, Chuck's saying that you work for your cats.
You work for your cats. We've had both. I've had dogs, I've had cats, and I got that in a greeting card one time. Remember, dogs have masters, but cats have a staff. I'm like, that is so true.
Okay, well, this conversation devolved really quickly. We're going to get back on topic. So last week, we had a conversation about immigration, and we tendered the idea that immigration in our country is of great value when it's done right. And toward the end of that conversation, we were thanked by a lot of our guests because the way the conversation went was respectful and productive. Even though we may not have agreed with a lot of the tenets or principles or points or whatever of our guests, right, it was a good conversation. We didn't have to agree to treat everybody with humane respect. Party Saurus says, I feel like I got swindled into some sort of indentured servitude. Yeah, that's what cats do. Congratulations on that. But so anyway.
Thank you for your effective communication.
Yeah, that was very effective. And you'll note that Chuck and I, we are not really cat people.
Not really.
So we don't have to agree, and we can be respectful. So Indeed. Congratulations to you and your cats and your indentured servitude. But anyway, so we talk about a lot of hard topics on this show, and we've had some some pretty controversial guests. We've had a transgender guest on here. We've had people from various political affiliations and things, and it's not always easy. And that's something that we have to practice. So I thought it would be of value today to let you guys in on there are methods, simple methods of carrying out conversational tactics that allow you to have effective strategy for maintaining a relationship. You don't have to give up a relationship with a person in order to have a difficult conversation with them.
Right.
Regardless of what that conversation is, it could be as difficult as religion. Like it's one of the most difficult ones to talk about, or sexual preferences, or whatever. All that stuff is political stuff and other things. So difficult to talk about.
Right.
But you don't have to give up on the person to have a difference in the communication and still be effective.
Right.
Both parties can walk away from a discussion valuing each other.
Yes.
Party Asaurus is saying immigration is something to be enforced. I just can't abide the way it's currently being enforced. Okay. And let's see. Apparently TikTok's filtering out some of the comments. Some of you guys may be saying something that TikTok considers to be unacceptable. But
check your communications.
And see, I don't. And to you, Party Saurus 12, we've heard a lot of that. We've heard a lot about that people don't agree with the way immigration is being enforced. And the question I asked last week, and this is not to go against your feeling. I don't feel one way or another about that. I am curious though. What would you do differently? Yes. That is the question that I asked last week, and it's a difficult one because we agree that our immigration system needs a lot of work. It's not perfect. It's too expensive. Yeah. It's not user friendly, and our country needs immigrants.
Yes.
That's what we are. We're a melting pot of the world.
Yes,
and that's how we improve. Is we bring people in,
right,
who want to bring their positive attributes and their skills and their natures. They come into this nation and they assimilate. It's a valuable thing. In fact, it's of the paramount value. It's like one of the top things that brings productivity and growth to our nation.
Right.
So we want to improve on that. Now, how can we make that better? How can we enforce and maintain healthy immigration laws and a system? How can we do that?
Right.
It's really easy to say, I don't like what's happening. It's really easy to say that. The difficult thing is, okay, so you don't like it.
And isn't that part, kind of bring it back to our topic of the day, isn't that part of what does make effective communication? Because I can tell you, even when I'm in therapy with maybe more than one, so if I would say a couple, and somebody's bringing a complaint, and I'll give the disclaimer, I said, as much as you possibly can, if you bring a problem, come with a solution, or at least the start of a solution.
At least an idea.
At least an idea of what could be. Because, and I will tell you this, and I know this may sound a little sarcastic to our intelligent audience, but I don't know as an answer. Well, what would you do differently? I don't know. No, nobody comes in my office at under 12 years old. So above 12 years old, you need to know something. Now, I'm usually talking to adults. And I'm like, you're 30 something years old. You're not a preteen. You can't say, I don't know. That's not an option anymore because you have the intelligence to go out and create solutions. So to me, that's part of effective communication too. If I bring a problem, I bring a potential solution, whether it's the last accepted one or not, regardless, at least that's a start. And the same with immigration, I suppose, as a topic.
And we challenge our guests, like when we have if we do have a guest, like I'll give you for instance, we had a guest on that was transgender. The guest name was Lacey, and we asked questions that were not easy.
Yeah,
they were questions that were on everyone's mind, but nobody typically. I mean, typically it's there's not the courage to ask.
Yes,
and we asked those questions in such a way that maintained respect
Mhm.
and maintained open lines of communications between all parties.
Mhm.
And then Lacey was allowed to ask us questions as well,
Mhm.
and did so with great respect and
Yeah.
courage.
A lot of grace.
And by the end of that conversation,
Mhm.
we didn't have to think the same,
That's right. That's right.
but we learned, both sides of the talk learned enormous amounts, and we remained friends.
And we left with a friendship.
We
That's right.
left. In fact, we left with a healthier relationship than when we started,
That's
because
right.
we had a better understanding of each other's truth
That's
and
right.
where we were coming from.
And to maybe put a couple labels on it, I think we allowed ourselves, both Lacey did and we did, allowed ourselves to become students in those little micro moments, those little bitty moments in the conversation to say, "Oh, help us understand, teach us." And it doesn't seeking understanding is not seeking agreement. That's
So,
two completely different things.
Party Saurus has thrown a comment out there: funding and staffing. So I'm curious what you mean by that, because yeah, definitely for immigration reform, we're going to need funding and staffing. But what does that mean? What does that look like to you? And what type of staffing? And where's this funding going to come from?
Mm.
Who's going to delegate where it goes? How is it going to be spent to improve the situation?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I like those two topics.
Yeah.
Party Saurus, those are valid issues, but how do we use them to improve? Like, what's the real crux of your suggestion?
Right.
So please keep going. And anyone out there who's joining us live, thank you all for coming in on our show. I see a guy named Jeff. I see several. I mean, there's quite a few. I can't list them all. Joe Clausen, is Isabella, Kathy. I see quite a few of you joining. Thank you for being a part of our live show.
Mm-hmm.
And we want your input. The immigration topic is a big topic.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, did my last one not go through? To courts to assist processing, avoid legal limbo. Okay, so Party Sara says apparently we want to use funding and staffing to improve the court system and assist in processing to avoid the legal limbo. Now, I like that, the focus on the legal limbo, because that's a big deal.
Yeah.
We had a guest on our show who was a legal immigrant. One of our early guests on the show,
Mm-hmm.
he immigrated legally from Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
Way back, and he did it. He started out as a exchange student,
Mm-hmm.
and then he went through the legal process, and it took years.
Yes.
Yes, it really did. So I agree with you that we need to really focus on that legal limbo phase.
Mm-hmm.
And I may get some pushback from you guys. I'd love to hear about this, but I also think that we, as a nation, we are well within our bounds and in our duty to require a certain degree of assimilation from immigrants.
Yeah.
I believe it is incumbent upon us to go back to the days where part of the process was that a person coming to our nation learned to speak our language and learned to understand our Constitution, our Bill of Rights.
Yes.
That was part of the immigration process. And I think that needs to be maintained. So I'd love your input on that.
Well, I think most any person that lives and works and operates in this country would agree that there are certain developed standards that we achieve. We've talked to them on this show about things as simple as transportation, how you get around, how do you develop and then put into the marketplace whatever you're going to trade for some type of income. And those are the standards that I think of when I think of somebody assimilating to what we would call our American way. And it's assimilating. It's not indoctrinating. You can still keep your culture, but you do develop those things so that you are now part of the tradable process.
Right.
And then that's how we get the benefit. If you bring a talent, you have to put that talent in the marketplace so we can go find it.
Party Sara says that she says, I'm split on that. People born here don't have the requirement to learn English. Actually, they do. I mean, they're taught it in public schools. It's part of graduating from the public school system is to learn English. They don't necessarily learn it well. And Party Sara says, I've met some people that seem hell bent on butchering the English language as much as possible, and that's actually true. That's factually true. In fact, there are artists, quote unquote artists, that are in different types of music. That's part of their profession, is to professionally butcher the English language.
Yes.
And
yes.
yeah, I mean that's a fact. But at the same time, yeah, it is actually a requirement in our country that children, first, it's a requirement that you go to school, and one of the fundamentals is English.
Well, if you think about it, and I'm not trying to be silly when I say this, but there's even subcultures of language exchange. For example, think of just about any industry. It could be anything from medicine to law enforcement to law itself. They all have codes in their sub-language. So if I'm sitting in a room with other like-minded professionals, we actually use acronyms to describe whole conversations. That too is assimilated language. I'm assimilating myself into the tech language or the medicine language so that I can operate well in that environment. It's kind of like that to me. And y'all may see it differently. And if you do, please comment. But so we have a global exchange of how we can kind of talk anywhere we want to go in this country. We pretty much understand each other. And then we have these micros, which we may happen in your particular field of interest.
So, thank you, Party Source. Party Source says that they see our view on assimilation, and thank you for that. And if there are any other of you out there that has a particular part of possibly immigration or any other current topic that may be a charged topic, we'd love to hear from you. If there are any, like if you're not from, like we're in Texas. To be specific, we're in Southeast Texas. We're really close to the Gulf, and we're not everywhere. We're not all over the country all the time, so we don't necessarily know what matters to you most, and we'd love to hear from you. First of all, if you're with us on this show today, drop a comment and just say what state you're in. Or if you're in a different country, drop a comment. Let us know where you're at. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to shout out to you and let the audience know where you're from, what part of the world you're in. Right. So thank you guys for joining us. I see Steve just joined. Chosen One just joined. Yes, you are. Party Saurus is where the tectonic plates wrestle in Colorado. Right. Chuck actually has family in Colorado, so that's great. Thanks for joining us.
Living on the fault line as we speak.
Right, right. So we've heard some stories about Colorado. In fact, we had a very prominent guest, one of your state representatives from Colorado, on our show just a couple of weeks back. And you guys are experiencing some pretty serious turmoil. You know, politically, we talk a lot about, we see in the headlines, we see on social media and in the news about different things that happen. Like, for instance, this is a big one, sex change operations on kids. Yeah. And, you know, one faction says that's not real. That doesn't really happen. Another faction says it happens all the time. And then, you know, so a lot of us who are not in those areas, we don't know the truth. Right. Well, last week or week before last, whenever it was, we had state representative from Colorado and gubernatorial candidate Scott Bottoms on our show. And he informed us that it is absolutely factually true that in Colorado, and maybe you can help me, Party Saurus, but in Colorado, a student that is 10 years old that is fifth grade now, a fifth grade kid at school can say, my parents won't call me by the pronoun I like, and I want to go through a sex change operation. And that school counselor or teacher can then, without the parent's knowledge, can take that kid and have the operation done. Right. Under the guise of protecting them. Right. Like, as if the parent is abusing them by not having their sex changed.
Yes. And then when they get to the hospital, they get complicity with the medical staff. They too tell the child, we're going to do this and don't tell your parent.
So I mean, this is a big charged issue. It's something that And Party Star says, I wouldn't know anything about that. Our cats put a no kids clause in the contract. That's great. So and then Jim WA53 says, good, not your fight, go home. Well, I'm not sure what you mean by that, Jim, but I will say this. This nation is my nation. It's my home. It's where I live. Even if I don't live in Colorado, those people are my neighbors.
Yeah.
And I care about them. I care about the kids in that state and the rights of the people in that state, and about the healthy decision making of people in that state, because it affects everyone else. It affects all states in the country. I had no idea that this was a practice.
Right.
And let's see, Party Star says, unplugged from the education system, but the traction that book banning is getting concerns me. Yeah, that can be a big, scary topic too. But we have got to protect the children of our nation. They are our future. And we've got to protect them to the point where they can reach the age of accountability safely for themselves, and then learn to make proper decisions for themselves and grow into adulthood to become productive adults.
Right. That's our commission as adults. That is what we are here to do, is to see them to those adult stages and all of the benefits that come from it, the talents they're going to develop, the things that they're going to share with the world, and also to co-adult with us, because their childhood is only going to last for a couple of decades, and then they're one of us. And are we preparing a contingent of our society to work better with us, even if we don't perfectly agree? I mean, are we all becoming kind of one big productive system here of friends and neighbors?
Right.
But I can tell you, if we continue by either by sponsoring directly or indirectly ignoring something, which is kind of its own level of sponsorship, the abuse of children, whether it's happening in another state or not, well, then yes, I am now, by de facto, I may be even contributing to that. So can I go and stop it directly? Likely not. But can we discuss things like good communication, which is a part of our platform today? Can we have an influence on better tomorrows? Absolutely, we can, because the conversation that started here with Representative Bottoms is now carrying on somewhere else. But we're having it today,
Right.
And he's likely still having it in the halls of his state government today. And so differences will be made, and children will be helped. And I couldn't think of a better reason.
So we have a user, a person with username, or it just says user 290429273736, basically an anonymous handle. And it says, have you read Mike Hawk's book? No, I'd like to know what you're referencing. Also on Party Saurus, I'm curious about what books that have been banned that bother you. The practice of banning books in general is a concerning issue, but I'd like to know specifically if there are some that have been banned that are of concern to you specifically. Okay, Slaughterhouse 5. Okay, and why does that concern you? Let's see. Karen Owens, 7843. Thank you for joining us. But guys, we really want your input. We want to hear from you. I mean, what do you think about this? We actually learned from Representative Bottoms that Colorado is even more progressive or liberal than California.
Yeah.
According to his report, Colorado has the most progressive / liberal practices in the nation.
Yes.
And that was surprising. And I mean, it's one thing to call yourself a liberal or whatever, but it's extraordinarily radical to be a proponent of doing things to kids without their parents' permissions.
Yes.
especially at such an early age.
Right.
It's one thing if a kid or a person is 18 years old or 21 years old and they need help getting something done. That's completely different.
Right.
But when a child, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, that child is in no way in a position of maturity enough to make permanent physical alterations to their body.
Right.
And no adult should have the authority to do that.
That's right, because they're in no way mature enough. And I'm sorry, I'm in the psychobabble business, so I study child development for a living, and they are in no way in a position to fully understand the consequences of those choices. That's our job.
So,
before we read that real quick, didn't Representative Bottoms also say that I think it's Canada has it in their constitutional documentation that a child born into a home in Canada actually is
property
of the state until they're 3 years old?
I don't remember the age, but it was property. The child was property of the state until a certain time. Because they are socialized.
Is that the direction we want to go? You tell us, friends.
Right. And then, so this user with the long numbers after their name, basically it's an anonymous user, said, do you have an example of a doctor doing a surgery to a minor without parents' permission? I will not give the name. I wouldn't do that. But Representative Bottoms had the specific example, more than one. Like, it wasn't just a one-off circumstance, but he had example after example that he had to deal with in his position. So yes, that really did, like, those are real things that happened.
Right.
And it's not something that doesn't, I mean, this is not a rare thing. That's what scares me. Like, I had no idea that this was real, so prevalent.
Right.
And
if I may, to that particular listener, and thank you, good question, because when he brought that up, before we could ask, he went on to say we had documented evidence that we shared with our colleagues in various committees and various meetings out on the state capitol level. So I would feel pretty sure to say if it made it to that level, it was irrefutable. It did happen, and those things were documented, and they were able to be discussed in the halls of lawmakers in the state of Colorado. So I'm pretty sure if you would like to dig into somewhere into the documentation for the state of Colorado, you too could find it as well.
And, we invite you, go check out our YouTube channel or check out any of our podcast channels. We're on every, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean. We're all over the place. And go back and check those episodes and watch what Representative Bottoms said. And I mean, you'll see, like, he will reference the things. He's very careful because some of those things are the names. He didn't want to get himself in trouble with dropping names or anything like that specific.
Sure. Especially the names of a minor.
Yes. So, but go back and watch the interview, and I challenge you to help us understand. Like, if you're in Colorado, help us understand what we're missing and or if we're missing anything, and then maybe help yourself understand what you might be missing, what you can learn, and what you can do to help your neighbors and help the children in your community.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Politicians do lie. If this was happening, it would be newsworthy and there would be lawsuits. Well, there are lawsuits, as a matter of fact, and it is in the news. But the sad thing is that particular types of news stations won't cover it because it goes against their platform.
Right.
So that's the problem. We have everything out there is slanted, and that's the problem.
That is the problem.
They're coming from their motivations. They're not coming from just being transparent and being truthful.
Right. And if I may, and thank you for your question about the media. Do yourself a favor, like we do ourselves a favor. I don't 100% rely on what makes it to my television screen. That is so edited and is so carefully orchestrated because of lots of reasons. One, because there's a limited amount of time, and then second is because there is that possible slant, that they have a certain favor that they're trying to promote. So they're not going to tell us things that they know would upset people they want to agree with them. We all know that happens.
Yeah.
So we have to then go to further sources. But I can tell you that there is some level of accountability and credibility by the time it makes it to a legislative branch, because they can get a lot of legal trouble saying something that isn't true, and they know that. And so I feel a little more confident in the vetting process, but that also means we have to then go and do the research ourselves.
So the user that is using an anonymous handle on here says that, okay, this was a misinformation spread by a person named Alex Proudfoot. I don't know who Alex Proudfoot is. And I also, that he or she, whoever it is, says, give me one lawsuit. I can't do that. Those lawsuits are with including minors.
Mm-hmm.
And those are not the same as like a criminal investigation that becomes public or what have you. Those are the proceedings are sealed and protected. The fact that Representative Bottoms talked about it with us, he had to be extremely careful not to disclose names because he's bound
mm-hmm.
by privacy. So I don't know how to give you the lawsuit,
mm-hmm.
but well, I can't because well, okay. So the user says you can still give the lawsuit name that describes the scenario.
I tell you what, how about this? If you are this interested, and that's wonderful, why don't you look up how to contact candidate Bottom's office as a representative and definitely as a gubernatorial candidate, and inquire about this. And if there is trackable evidence, maybe his office can lead you to that, and then that way you can kind of read for yourself. And that, but I would think if he's the one that shared it with us, that would be my references, just to go right back through.
And we go into the interview expecting that. We had no preparation. We were going at his interview as a feature story about him, his life, his journey, and through that process, he disclosed things that we never expected.
Right. Right. And if you're a fan of those interviews, if you listen to some of those, you understand that we kind of pretty much follow that same model. Just tell us your story. Where are you from, and how did you become? And like the physician we interviewed this week, quite several where he incarnated himself into new things. He went from becoming a physician to a minister at some point, and those are really what those are about. But occasionally we do get these little heavy drops of information that these people find important.
So this same user says, why would I trust a politician with no verifiable information? And I wouldn't encourage you to trust a politician with no verifiable information. I wouldn't encourage you to trust even necessarily us. I encourage you to do your own due diligence, research out the topic to the best of your ability, and come to a truth you can accept.
Yes.
And I don't mean a biased degree of information to where you can verify your own opinion.
Right.
I would encourage you to challenge your own opinion. Seek it out. Seek as much information out as possible from as many different diverse sources as possible, so that you can be confident in what you learn.
One of our subheadings for today's topic is crucial communication and other crucial aspects. Well, a very crucial aspect of learning is exactly what you're asking for, which is verification. That is crucial. So I wish you well on that journey. And as likewise, we are going to be using those same investigative curiosities when we look into things that are important to us. So please do. And if you find something out, let us know.
For those of you joining us, which statute shows this about children under 3? That's a Canadian reference, and that was from Representative Bottoms as well. That was about from Canada, not here, not in the U.S.
Right.
That's not a United States statute. But also want to make very clear that we're not in favor of swaying your mind one way or another. We are here simply to challenge your train of thought so that you can learn and develop your own understanding. I have no interest, and Chuck has no, I don't think he has any interest. I have no interest in forcing upon you our beliefs.
Not at all.
In fact, I would challenge you that you might have a difficult time actually figuring out what I believe and what my convictions are based on this show, because relatively innocuous.
There you go.
So
there you go.
Because I don't want that. I want the truth, and I always want to remain curious with you, our audience. So I want this to be a place where if you think you disagree with us, you still feel safe enough to say it.
Right. We're not journalists and we're not commentators. We are basically just curious people, just like yourselves. And we happen to have developed this platform where we can discuss with you guys as an audience how to best satisfy those curiosities, like having effective communication, like talking to people with an open heart and open mind to understand. And sometimes, in this subject that we're kind of talking about, makes it very difficult. Not how to communicate about it, the topic itself. I didn't want to know these things. I didn't want to be aware of these things. But now I'm curious to validate, does this exist? And then, of course, the next phase is, what do we do about it?
So that same user says, you stated that Canadian children up to age 3 are wards of the state. That's not what we said.
No.
What we said was that Representative Bottoms informed us that in Canada, children up to a certain age, we think it's 3, belong to the state.
Yes.
Are considered property of the state.
That was told to us.
And you can watch the interview for yourself with Representative Bottoms. The information that he referenced, he was extraordinarily confident about. It wasn't just random spouting off the top of his head. And I mean, you can check that as well.
Yeah.
But you're always welcome to fact check anything we say, and if we make a mistake, by all means, we want to know it.
That's right. And the same with anybody that we interview, they could say almost whatever they want.
Yeah.
And we're not going to press them, so to speak. If they take a position, they take a position, and then we're just going to let them have that position. That's not going to dissuade us in any way. And but at the same time, if we leave the interview and we're still curious, then it's on us to go check it out. So I offer that same challenge to you guys as well.
So please, user 2904-292-737-346, please, by all means, go and fact check all of this for yourself. And we'd love to know what you find out.
Yeah.
And we are not contending that one thing is wrong or right or perfectly accurate or true, or false. We are just putting out what was put to us. I didn't have so the same user says you have an uninformed opinion and are spreading it. Well, I actually didn't spread an opinion
because I don't have an opinion,
but it's okay. Some people, and this is okay too. Some people join the show at times, join different shows and go on different things to be controversial.
Sure.
To have an argument, and that's okay. If you wish to have an argument, but this isn't an opinion. It's easily verifiable fact. So verify, please. So we appreciate you engaging with us, and we want you to continue to do so. And if you want to verify facts and come back and report on what you find, please do. We're not giving you an opinion.
No.
Now, I will give you this opinion. It's not a fact. It's my opinion. And it is a fact that it's my opinion. That anybody who endorses, this is my opinion, understand, anybody who endorses cutting on a child that young is wrong.
That's right.
And that's my opinion.
That's right. Especially without their parents' consent.
So this person is now telling us that the statute doesn't exist. And they're okay, you need to verify the claim. I'm telling you the statute doesn't exist. So are you saying that you have verified it and then you can provide the proof to that? Can you? So I find it fascinating that people come on and they say things and they accuse us of having, opinions or whatever, endorsements of other people's truths. But then they do that.
Right.
And that's okay. Do that. Do it all you want. But no one has endorsed anything that hasn't been fact checked.
No.
All we did is repeat what was said to us in an interview. And just so that you guys know, we have 170 plus interviews that we have published. Currently, our audio version long format podcast is at about 2.2 million downloads. And we are very, very happy with that. We appreciate our audience. We don't put out these interviews as necessarily an endorsement of any of our guests' views or what they say. We put it out as information. We put it out as so that you can get to know our guests. The hope is that we are able to provide inspiration for others to pursue their purpose.
Yes.
That's the whole reason that this practice exists. That's the whole reason our podcast exists. It's not to be argumentative or controversial.
Not at all.
The hope is to challenge, to inspire, and to inculcate curiosity.
That's it.
So we hope that we do that with you guys, even if even if a guest or two here and there wants to be argumentative, we're okay with that. It's not our purpose just to sit here and argue, but we really appreciate you guys' engagement and your involvement.
Yes.
And as I hope we have demonstrated today, in a crucial conversation, in a critical communication, it is not necessary to take a hardline, judgmental approach to someone else and belittle them, demean them, or impugn their value in any way. We can maintain relationships and disagree at the same time.
Absolutely.
I don't have to hate you to disagree with you.
That's right.
I think that's a wonderful thing. But if we stop talking, if we don't have these conversations, and you guys out there, you can hate him, you can love him. I don't really care about that. But there was a man who died, and his birthday was yesterday. And one of the greatest things that he espoused was critical conversations.
Yes. Communicating
and having discourse in an exhaustive way so that it didn't devolve into violence. But look what happened. And if we could just keep the lines of communication open. Okay, so the same user that was talking earlier, these are platitudes that are easy to say without saying much. Who endorsed cutting children? Well, I would challenge you to find out about your representation in Colorado to find out who endorses that. But I can say that it's verifiable. You can figure that out. There are people who their platform supports sex changes in kids. I mean, I don't know another way to put it.
That's right.
And you don't that's something you can verify.
That's right.
That's something that I already did.
That's right. And there are a host of other organizations that verify the harm of children. They endorse the harm of children. Let me say it that way. Whether it be say sexual abuse. I mean, there are groups that organize themselves because they believe that adults and minors should get together in those type of ways. And I mean, they have a national platform. And even though I think most folks would agree that it's beyond inhumane, it's a crime, it's other things, but they still exist. And you know that they exist. And we know that they exist. We don't agree, but we know that they're there. And so it lends itself that even things like this that we're telling you guys that our guests told us, okay, we didn't share it. A guest shared it with us, just like basically we're doing the same thing. We're just sharing what was shared with us. Then we have to presume that this is a possibility.
So reach out to Representative Scott Bottoms and ask all the questions you like.
Please.
He will provide you with the information, the verified sources, everything you need. That's not the only source, but it is the quickest source for you to find all of the information. let's see. So Larry, I will tell you, Larry, thank you for joining us today. And he says, nope, you do it now. And he says, it's the only source that you've given in the past 30 minutes. Well, it's the source we got it from. And and he provided it in a very reliable way, in a verifiable way. So that's the source I'm going to cite. And Larry says you can't, and you know it. Well, I did actually, but it's okay. You can do however you want. You can rely on your own opinion and your own convictions, and that's totally fine. And I respect you as a person. And then what's the verifiable way? I just told you, you can reach out to Scott Bottom's office, either his gubernatorial campaign or his state representative office, and he can provide you with whatever legal verifiable information that's available, as he did for us.
And I feel certain if you start there, you won't end there. You will want to go further into whatever sources he has gathered from. That's research. That's how research works. Find a starting point and then keep going from there. If I wanted to know more about this subject, I guarantee I would follow this exact same pattern. I would go right back through where it came from. And then I would go from wherever that would lead me to either confirm or refute.
So it's okay. And I get what you're doing. It's okay. Like they keep challenging. So this one says Scott Bottom used verifiable ways that we verified by using Scott Bottoms. That's that same user. And that's okay. You can keep talking around it all you'd like. And the truth is the truth. Like that's where we got our information. If you don't like it, you're welcome to verify it your own way or disprove it your own way.
Right.
That's totally fine. And Larry says, try this, the Mayo Clinic and the Association of Pediatrics. Do you know what a primary source is? Well, yeah, we know what a primary source is. So you guys, like we said, we're not trying to convince you of anything. We're not trying to tell you to believe our way or do it our way. We're just offering you the information and the challenge. So go and verify it for yourself by all means. But the point of this was about having crucial communication, critical conversations, and effective outcomes. Now, I get what you're after. You want me to keep providing more sources. Well, I don't have them because I got what I wanted, enough for me to understand from my source. So I stopped. Just as you would do when you were satisfied. And that's okay. But I'll tell you this. Thank you. Thank you so much for all of your input, your engagement. And we look forward. We're going to be back here next week. We do plan on being at our normal time on Tuesday at 10 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time next week. And we've got a really pretty serious topic we're going to talk about, but we'll be announcing that very shortly before that show. And let's see. It's the confirmation back. So we'll let you go ahead and disagree with whatever you don't like, and that's totally fine with us. But we look forward to seeing you guys next week. I'm Rob.
I'm Chuck.
Thank you for allowing us to become a part of the pursuit of your purpose. We'll talk soon.